Games are a huge waste of time, but not in the way that you think. Imagine this, you do some chores. Do you say, oh, I enjoy cleaning the dishes, or let's just get this over with? Usually a normal person would say the second option, and you'd be right to say that this is the same feeling when you grind any game nowadays. Because when you look at multiplayer and live service games recently, you'd have an 85% chance of seeing either a battle pass, microtransactions, or a mix in between. Now, what does this have to really do with anything about games wasting my time? Well, battle passes are a sure way for people to feel guilty for not completing the pass fully, because it is a waste of your time if you don't complete the battle pass that costs $10, if not more, depending on which game you're playing. See, I think we're getting to a point of time where games just don't really give a fuck about the amount of time you put into it. And especially towards people who don't have that much time on their hands. You know, parents, adults that are young and old, and those who have other responsibilities in their lives, like paying for bills, food, water, shelter, cleaning up, chores, stuff like that. Games don't look at your free time, but instead look at your time in general and play to that. They add these kinds of battle pass grinds that really take way too long to complete in a certain amount of time, or they're too costly that you feel forced to complete the passes if you do buy them. And that is a sure way to make people dread to play a game. Let's bring up an example. Let's say Overwatch 2. They have a battle pass system where it requires you to play a total of 55 hours total, and that's not including queue times. That's also including other XP bonuses you get if you do every single one of them every single day. For you to be able to require all these levels and tiers, you would need an average of 1 to 2 hours a day for the 9 weeks that the battle pass is left open. Not only do you have a time restraint into playing a game to earn XP enough to gain all the tiers, but you would also have to be consistent in playing the game with friends and grind competitively every single day. Now, that's not a bad thing to grind every single day like that, but it can be bad for players who like playing a variety of other games. Because if you want to spend your weekend playing a different game than Overwatch 2, like say for example if you want to play Minecraft, Helldivers 2, etc., which by the way, good on you, Overwatch 2 is a real shit game, then you'll lose progress in gaining or getting the tier list bumped up all the way to the max level, which then means that you wasted the $10 that you spent on the battle pass in the first place, and that pass will never come back. It's the same thing with Valorant, but it takes twice as long, much harder as a game in general, and you gain the most XP when you play competitively and not casually. But the battle passes last about 3 months or so maybe you can make it work, but what's the point of playing a game where your time and effort in other game modes are not valued enough when you play a separate game mode? Say for example, you are playing competitively and that's the most XP you're gonna get, but any other game mode you play, like Spike Rush or Casuals, does not give you enough XP to grind out the battle pass in the most effective way possible. It toys with your time. And sure, competitive is more understanding as you play your heart out to try to win games with teamwork and have much more time put into it, but playing casual game modes like Spike Rush or Casual doesn't give you enough to suffice for a battle pass for the 3 months. And you have to play consistently for those game modes. So, people are recommended to play a comp game to not only get their $10 worth of the battle pass, but they are also pushed to be consistent in playing the game. You see a pattern here? Games are trying to get you addicted in the worst way possible. But I think the one thing that really irritates me the most is when you put so much time and effort into a battle pass, right? And you want to play other games, you feel guilty for not completing the battle pass. So that makes you go back to play the game, and that what makes people dread to play any game with a battle pass nowadays. Because people feel guilty for spending $10 and not getting their full $10 worth for cosmetics or whatever else is in the battle pass. I think another thing that really plagues your time is quests that are full of fluff. You know the quests I'm talking about. The ones that take a long time, but you don't get rewarded enough for your time put into it. You know, time is money, time is life, and time is valuable. Now, if you decide to mess with people's time, that makes it a huge issue for people to play any game at all. Now I'm gonna say this, you do have the option to not buy a battle pass and not get any of the skins. That's fine. But for those who do want to get the skins, if it's a trap for those who do buy it, because now you feel like you have to get the battle pass completed or else your $10 is wasted. And no one wants to waste money. And that fluff I'm talking about, let's bring up an example. Destiny 2. It is a horrible concept for getting rewarded for your time and effort put into the game. Some raids literally take several hours to complete, and you may not get the item that you want. Destiny 2 might as well be a part-time job for some people for the amount of time and effort that you need to put into it to get said items. The worst thing that this game has pulled was the raids, and it's because it just takes so much time to complete, and if you do fail, you have to start all over again. And another great example of fluff, which I will still hold my ground against the Timmies who are defending this game, is Ghost of Tabor. You have quests that are mostly kill quests for the traders that matter. Spectre, Minty, and Shiro. Now, I already said my piece about the game, which you can go check out here in the little description down below, but TLDR, it's about the amount of XP you get from grinding the quests that are tedious and annoying to deal with, because you don't get enough XP for completing some quests that are hard, and you don't get enough XP for some quests that are simple and easy. And not to mention that some quests are time limited, and if you don't complete them within said time or within said parameters, you won't be able to get to level 2 or level 3 with any trader, and you lose all that progress you put into said quests. Now, I'm not saying that this game needs to be easy. What I am saying though is they need to make it a little easier to grind out the traders. Now, unless you put a lot of time into the game and have a lot of free time and you're able to complete each quest with precision and valuing your time, you will not be able to feel satisfied when you do gain those levels on those traders. Not to mention, a lot of people use Meta Quest's headsets like the Quest 2, the Quest 3, which only have a 2-hour battery span for each session, and you have to charge it for a whole hour for it to be at 100% again. It's tedious, it really is. And it's just the fact that games don't consider your free time, or for those who are growing up into adults who have been playing games for a long time, they don't care about the free time that you have, and it sucks. Games are not games anymore, they're becoming part-time jobs, if not full-time jobs, and that's not a good thing. No one wants to play a game where it's a job. Unless you're playing Job Simulator, that's just a whole different thing. Let's also not forget that the ESRB rating shouldn't matter anymore at this point, because it's all about recommendation for what age group should be able to play the game. But the developers never really care for that anymore because their focus is on the most impressionable age group, which is kids and teens. And games are now only being catered towards those kids and teens because they have a lot of free time on their hands and adults don't. In my opinion, it just sucks because a lot of people are growing up and they grew up with video games and they still want to play video games. But the games are not catered towards those adults who play video games. They're catered toward teens and kids. And games that don't consider them at all, the adults, the young adults, or the elderly who play games, I feel like it's a slap to the face towards that age group and the gaming community. But I really want to know your thoughts on all of this. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think that video games in general are still good? Do you think video games are bad? Do you like modern gaming? Do you hate modern gaming? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'll be reading them throughout the week, and that's really all I have to say. Other than the fact that I'm waiting for the Ghost of Tabor game to get an update soon, which by the way, they scooted over from February 22nd to a later date. So the Ghost of Tabor video is going to be on a hiatus mode for a bit, but I do have some other plans in the meantime. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Deuces. Take care, everyone.